All right, now it's time to go back together with this thing and change this brake line out, get this caliper, get this old GT caliper off, and also put the spindle and everything back on. And one more thing on top of that, bonus footage. We're gonna change out the tie rods for the SE or the SVE tie rod ends, because I messed up one of my tie rod ends trying to get the old ones off, and I can't get the nut to thread back on. So and I'm having a little bit of I believe a bump steer issue, so that's going to take care of that. And yeah, let's get started breaking this thing back down. Okay, I got the spindle sitting in place. I got it sitting on the ball joint, and I got the tie rod connected still, because you're going to kind of need that on there if you want any kind of leverage tightening it up. All right, as you can see, the mounting point for the 95s, the SN95 spindle is a lot shorter than the one on the Mustang GT. It's a little taller. So what I'm gonna have to do is add some washers to the top right here. I'm gonna start with 3 to see if I can get the castellation and the nut to match up with it. I'm gonna check it out and I'll be right back with you. Yeah, I ended up going with 4. So the Carter key would go completely through it and still be inside the castellation. So now we're gonna get this thing torqued up, and the torque is 80 to 120 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and torque this bad boy up and continue on. All right, got the hardware connected. Like I said, I used 4, and I torqued it actually to a 80 inch-pounds, and it lined right up on the lowest setting. So I just went with that. And next, we're gonna hook up the struts to the spindle. And the spindle strut, I think I'm gonna go with, I think it says 200 foot-pounds on it. So we're gonna get that mounted up. Okay, we got the strut mounted to the spindle, torqued down. And now we're gonna tackle this tie rod end. Bonus footage. I didn't plan on doing that, but you know, stuff happens. I messed up the end, so we gotta make repairs as needed. All right, what I'm getting ready to do, I don't recommend you do this, but since it's going to the alignment shop anyway, this is what I'm gonna try. What I'm gonna do, as you see, I already mounted clamped on my vice grips. What I'm gonna do is measure from the vice grip to the center of the bolt running through, the center of the tie rod running through, and I'm gonna get a measurement from here to here, and do not remove. I'm not gonna remove the vice grips. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the new one on and make sure it's the same length from the vice grips to the center. If I make that, you know, close to the same, I don't see why that wouldn't come out pretty close to being jam up. So that's what I'm finna do now. It's finna take a measurement, and that measurement is 7 7/8. So when I get ready to put the new rod end on, I just make sure that from the vice grips to the end of the tie rod is 7 7/8. I don't see why that won't be. I don't see why that won't work. So let's do that. All right, got the new rod in. Tighten on this end. This end right here is tight. I already tightened it before I put it on. But the measurement, as we measured before, 7 7/8 to the center. Yeah, I don't see why that won't turn out pretty close to being what it needs to be. At least get me to the alignment shop. So now let's continue on. With the tie rod in loosely mounted, what you want to do is all these washers right here, you use these washers to make sure that you get the tie rod in parallel with your lower control arm, because that right there will help with the bump steer problem. All right, tie rod in, torque to the bottom, torque to the top, and relatively parallel with the control arm. You know, I might have to make an adjustment later on, just depends, but I think it's pretty parallel from what I need, or for what I need. Now, next thing we're gonna do is disconnect the brake line right here, because we have to put a different brake line in so it'll mount to the calipers that we got, because the stock ones will not work. So we're going to take the little clip out. This little clip right here, you got to pull it straight up, and this right here, that'll loosen up the line from the housing. All right, as you can see, I got the clip out, and that clip just makes it loose so you can slide the line out. And now, next thing you want to do, and you probably should do this before you pull the clip out, is loosen this bolt, or excuse me, this nut right here. It's like a jam nut, and it's 7/16. Got the new brake line. I got it on. I got it from LMR. It's the 94-95 brake line, and it attaches to the OEM brake lines on your car, and they give you the banjo bolts to run into the Brembo calipers. So that's all connected. Got my little clip in, got it tightened down. Next, we got to mount the calipers. Actually, before we mount the calipers on there, we got to mount the spindle hub, and I grease it probably about the best way I knew how. There's not a lot of online instruction on how to grease these things, so I try to pack some grease down in the bearing as best I could. It already had some in there, but I packed a little bit more in there. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna throw a little grease on the spindle mounting point. Make sure it's got a little bit of lubrication on it. This is a very close tolerance fit. And basically, you just put it on there and tighten it down to, I believe it's 240 or 50 inch-pounds, and go from there. Now that the hub's on, now let's put the calipers on and get this brake line and everything all tightened up. All right, before I mount the calipers, I want to tell you something real quick, which I'm gonna go over again shortly after I get them mounted and show you exactly what I was talking about. But before I was able to put these on, I had to get them shaved. And what I mean by shaved is the thickness of this mount point right here was too big, and it didn't allow the rotor to sit in the center of the caliper. It was off to one side, and I had to get this shaved to bring it back to the middle. But when I put the caliper on, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Well, while trying to mount the calipers on, I realized I made a little bit of a mistake. And now what I did was put these bolts in backwards. It's supposed to go the other way so you have clearance for the caliper bolts. So, well, give me a minute. Let me get these bolts switched around and we'll get back to the installation. Okay, got the bolts relocated, actually turned around 180. Got the caliper mounted. Now it's time to get the brake line hooked up.
All up in your ear, rocking like bamboo. Rocking like bamboo. All up in your ear, rocking like bamboo. Rocking like bamboo. Bam, bam, 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 bamboo.
Crush washer, brake line, everything mounted. Well, what I was saying earlier about the rotor not being centered in the caliper and why I had to shave some off the end of the caliper or the mounting point is right in here. This gap between the brake pad and the rotor was a lot greater than it was on the other side. And it ain't perfect now, but it's definitely a lot better than it was, because it was right up on it. And right now I got a little bit better spacing. The other side is actually better, but we're gonna see how that works out. As you can see, it's all put back together, but I guess the brake check that I was gonna do is gonna have to wait. Yeah, I was gonna test the brakes against a Dodge SRT Challenger. Yeah, that a friend of mine has, but that's gonna have to be postponed because as you can see, it's raining. but the test is gonna have to wait. But look at that. Man, is that not insane? That looks crazy sweet. But yeah, the demo that I was gonna have, the brake test, all of the stuff I was gonna do is gonna have to wait. So hopefully within the next few days to a week, we can get together and we could do this brake challenge. Cause I know he's gonna beat me, but we're gonna see how we compare to, I think it's a 2016 or 17. But for right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can get that fresh stuff when it comes out, and we'll see you later. And also, after you do something like this, you definitely want to bleed the brakes. And the bleeding, I think everybody knows how to bleed it. And of course, you know, you bleed from the passenger side rear to the driver's side rear to the passenger side front to the driver's side front. Yeah, just make sure you do it in that order and get all your air bubbles out, and you'll be okay.